read 16 books. 2 of them were DNFs, but still, I read a lot this month, so I'm really proud of myself. I've been sitting on these books for a while, so I want to just go through, tell you maybe a little bit about them, or mostly just tell you my thoughts and ratings overall. But it's been a while. I feel like April feels like months ago now. Okay, so a lot of these do have vlogs from the month. I'll talk about those obviously, but also tell you which ones weren't vlogged and give you a little more in-depth thoughts on those. But I will have all of April's vlogs linked in the description if you want to watch those. Okay, so let's start off with the book club books that I read for the Coffee Break Book Club. We read The Maid as our main pick by Nita Prose, and I gave this 3.5 stars. It's a little cozy mystery. I didn't love it very much. Very underwhelming. So I was kind of sad because I was really looking forward to more of like a locked room clue-like mystery, but it fell flat in that area for me. Then the secondary pick was The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. This is a brand new release by Lucy Foley, and a lot of people read it right off the bat, and a lot of people did not like it, and I am one of those people. So I gave this 2 stars. Really disappointing, and I don't think I like Lucy Foley very much. Probably won't be reading any more from her in the future. But yeah, there is a vlog for the book club picks if you want to watch that, if you haven't already. Oh, a part of that vlog was The Push by Ashley Audrain. I did squeeze that into that vlog, so there are some thoughts on it. I buddy read this with my friend Elena, and I gave this 4.5 stars. I really did like it. It's a psychological thriller following a mother who has a daughter she doesn't feel super connected to and thinks that something is wrong with her daughter. Then she has a son that she does love so much and has a serious motherly connection and motherly instincts for that child. Then she is even more convinced that something is wrong with her daughter and it's not her being a bad mom. There's some really good twists and the ending is really good. I really liked it. Another one that was for a vlog was my Taylor Jenkins Reid vlog. It was me kind of giving her another chance, even though I've already read 3 of her other books before these 2. I forget to mention in that vlog that I have also read her short novella called Evidence of the Affair, and I really liked that one. I think I gave that 4 stars. I listened to it solely on audio, and I really liked that one. But anyway, so the ones that I read this month were One True Loves and After I Do. And you guys have to watch that vlog if you haven't already. It was so fun to film because these were such fun books for me. I gave them both 5 stars. I love these books so much. I'll get into which ones are my favorites at the end, but this is definitely a top contender, if not my top favorite, and then this one is shortly behind because I loved these so much. Best books that I've read by TGR. Okay, and then another one I did vlog was for 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. Gave this one 5 stars. It's absolutely stunning. I read it for my Reading the Most Beautiful and the Ugliest books that I own on my shelves. So yeah, I read this one, gave it 5 stars, absolutely loved it. Asian fairy tale retelling, super mystical, magical. There's dragons. It's really good. And then also for that vlog I read H is for Homicide by Sue Grafton. Well, actually I should say I tried to read this. I ended up DNFing it around page 60. This is the ugliest book I own. Actually, it's my father's copy. I've talked about this in the vlog and a couple other times before, but I do have to give him back this old beat up copy that I completely trashed and ruined. I also didn't like it. This is her alphabetical series, so I read all the way up until H. I read them in college and I really liked them at the time, but I think that was back when I hadn't read enough to really know like what was good in my opinion and not. So now going back to this writing style, this story, these characters, like it just doesn't hit the same. So I couldn't get through it. I was really confused and just bored. I think I'm moving on. Like I'm not gonna go back and try and read any more from this series. Who knows, like maybe when I'm older maybe I'll get to them, but like it's just not what I want to be reading right now. So I did DNF that one. Speaking of DNFs, and for another vlog, I tried reading A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I got up to page 480 something and I decided that it was not worth it for me to finish. Not because I was disturbed or like having a hard time emotionally getting through it. I was just really flat out bored. Could not connect with the characters or the writing for this one, and it is a chunker. So like if it didn't feel like it was going to even be worth it for me to finish the last 300 pages, I wasn't going to push myself through that. One of my goals for this year is to DNF more books. So I was like, I'm not putting myself through this if I'm not liking it that much. I did obviously want to know what happened and like understand what is so triggering for people when they read this book. So I did just look up the chapter summaries and read what happens, but I did not need to read all the extra wordy fluff, the descriptions and stuff. So I know what happens. I basically finished it. I committed to a big majority of this book, but again, I was just like, this is not worth my time. I don't want to read all of these pages. Even though I DNF'd it, I still really just want to give it 1 star because it really isn't that good. A lot of you know that this is just like really sad and disgusting and disturbing and triggering and all of that. Like, I don't feel like it needs to exist, but I also love that there are people who can take away from this book or just feel something towards this book and love it in whatever way that people can love this book. But also, I just don't think that there's any positivity in this book, and I just don't think that it needed to be written. I don't know what the point of it was, but if there are people out there, if this is one of your favorite books and like you do resonate with it somehow, like I'm really happy for you. I just don't understand, and I didn't think I really would because I knew I wasn't gonna be able to relate. I knew it wasn't gonna be something that I truly found, you know, interesting, entertaining. Like, I don't know. I did want to just know what happened and I did want to give it a shot. Ultimately, I do think I could have lived without ever picking this book up. I think that's it for all of the ones that I vlogged. Another one that I gave 1 star is After by Anna Todd. I read this along with the Classic Literature Book Club. Several lovely ladies from BookTube host read-along sprints to read their book club book throughout the month. So I really enjoy joining them and reading the cringy books with them. So this is what they did read in April, and it's one that I'm glad that I read because it's obviously very hyped. I was never into the Wattpad scene, so I never even knew what that was when I was a kid. Never got into it, didn't even know it was a thing. I've also never seen the movie. Like, this wasn't something that I was dying to pick up, but I was influenced to pick it up and read it with my friends. I really did not like it. It's way too long, it's really repetitive, and it's super cringy and toxic. Another one that I don't think needs to exist or needs to have been written. I try to see the positives, I try to see the bright side of things when it comes to books. Like, there has to be, you know, obviously some people who can relate or gain something from books. And this one, I think, maybe like for a younger but not too young of an audience, for a little bit of like a coming of age, I think this would be good maybe for high schoolers, but also at the same time not really. It's very, very toxic and doesn't show any good examples of what relationships should look like, but it does have maybe like some educational things that you can learn what not to do from our main character. Her name is Tierney. Is that her name? No, that's from, is it Tierney? No, who's that? That's from, Tierney is from Credence, or is that Tiernan? I read another one with Tierney. Why can't I remember? This is Emma, right? Or Tessa. This is Tessa. I don't know what I'm talking about with Tierney right now. I can't even think of it. Maybe this one? Yeah, and this other book I'm going to talk about. Tiernan is from Credence. Okay, anyways, getting sidetracked. So yeah, this is whatever. But like I said, I had fun reading it with everyone, and also like part of me wants to continue with the series. I don't know if that's a good idea. Maybe I'll watch the movie sometime in the future if I can convince someone to watch it with me, but this was really hard to get through. It's very brutal. Glad I read it. Glad I know what it's about. Yeah, I wouldn't even say that's a waste of time because I had fun reading it with my friends. Let's see, another one I read. These are not for vlogs now. Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. I read this for my family book club. We wanted just like a fun, cheesy, light, cutesy YA romance, and this delivered in that area. It's super lighthearted and an easy read. It's super fun, and I enjoyed the first maybe 50 pages. I thought was pretty funny and quirky in a good way, and I was highlighting a lot of things that the male protagonist was saying because you get dual POVs in this one. I thought it was super cute, but it is a little long, and there were times where it was just dragging a little bit and I didn't really care, but I think it was overall really nice, and I would definitely recommend this to young adult readers, people in junior high and high school. I gave this 3.5 stars. The Grace Here by Kim Liggett. I did start a vlog for this book, but that vlog kind of ended up a mess, so I don't think I'll end up posting it or anything. But anyways, this is one that has been on my physical TBR for a little while, and I wanted to read it. Sorry, there's veggie hair floating. This is a young adult sci-fi, very Hunger Games. It also kind of gave me some Maze Runner vibes. Like, I didn't really love it. It was just like a whatever moment for me, but I thought it was interesting. Sometimes it just got a little too confusing, and I was just like, I wanted it to be a little bit more simple, but it was a little weird and kind of gruesome at times. But it's very like feminist, and you know, it talks about gender roles, you know, how women are perceived in this patriarchal society. I think it can do a lot for, again, a younger audience of women, and I think, you know, it's very entertaining at the same time. This is where the main character's name is Tierney, by the way. Anyway, so yeah, I gave this 3 stars. It was just whatever. It did not blow me away, but I didn't hate it. It just wasn't exactly what I expected. I want a little bit more, but it was interesting. Oh my gosh, I still have a lot to talk about. Okay, so I also read Hellfire by Mariel Pomeroy. I heard about this one from Sarah's Shelves and Manda from Manda from Ginger Snapped Reads. They read this as their group book for their KU readathon. This author is pretty young. She's in her early 20s, and she's also a bookstagrammer. She does lots of reels and stuff and talks a lot about her books now, obviously. I think this was her debut, and it's going to be like a fantasy series. It gave big Acotar vibes. If you're into that, maybe you could try this one out. You know, it's obviously good to support these upcoming authors, so I was really excited to give it a shot. Fantasy romance typically isn't my thing, but I think it would be excellent for someone who does enjoy that genre, because it was pretty good. There is a little bit of spice in it. The world building is a big part in the book because it's the first in what's going to be a series, and I was pretty impressed with it, honestly. But like I said, it's not super in my genre that I typically love, so I ended up giving it 3 stars. Thought it was a fun time, so I would definitely check it out if you're interested. Like I said, big Acotar vibes. And speaking of Acotar, I also did reread Acotar, because Manda and Jess from Books Past Bedtime, they're hosting an Acotar series read along, and there is a Discord you can join. For May, they're reading Acomath and then continuing on with the series for each month. So I did reread this because of that. The first time around I gave this 4 stars. Second time it's more of a 3. Again, I don't love fantasy romance, so it just like isn't a series that I'm like a diehard fan of or would really like rave about for the rest of my life. But it was fun to reread and like refresh my memory on it. I have already read Acomath. I don't know if I'm gonna really reread that one in May. I might try like here and there to skim it a little bit, but I'm definitely excited to pick up Akawar in June. But yeah, so I did reread this 3 stars the second time around, but it was fun. And then I also read One Italian Summer by Rachel Searle? One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle. I read this one on audio because it is narrated by Lauren Graham, who is Lorelai from Gilmore Girls. That was the only reason I really wanted to pick it up, but then it ended up being a buddy read with some people that we had a group chat on Instagram for, so that was fun. Honestly, I gave it 2 stars. I feel bad because I don't think it was the best audiobook. Like, the narration was okay. I think this was her first one she's ever narrated, so like I hope she would try again and maybe learn from the first time around, but honestly I think she could have done a little better. I don't know. I feel really bad because I love her, but I don't think it was the best. Also, the story, I didn't like the story. I did not like the main girl. She is like super weird. She's in love with her mother, basically, like in a weird way. In the beginning of the book, she talks about how like if your mother is the love of your life, what does that make your husband? And just like overly obsessed with her mom, like in a really weird way. Obviously you want to love your mom and care about her a lot, but this girl was a little borderline obsessed with her own mother. So the story is that her mother passes away, and they were supposed to have this trip that they were going to take together to Italy, and the mother dies before they're able to go. So the girl, I don't even remember the main character's name, decides to still go on this trip, and she sees a woman that looks like her mother like 30 years ago. Then she becomes kind of obsessed with this woman, and she's like convinced that it is her mom, but like a younger version of her mom. And so that's like really confusing in the story, and I don't know, like I don't know if this is a spoiler, but like if you care you can like just jump 15 seconds in the video. But like I think it's supposed to be known, but if not, I don't know, that it's time travel. Like the main character did go back in time, and she actually is seeing her mom 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever. But the writing, like the book doesn't really tell you that. You have to kind of gauge it, and I just was really freaking annoyed with the main character. Like, why is she so obsessed with this woman and being weirded out that her mother would have a life before she was born? Or like, when she was a little girl. I don't know, guys, I don't know. This book was just really infuriating because the main character is just awful. Like, she was super annoying and not fun to follow. But I will say the Italy vibes were great, immaculate. I think there was too much of that. It was very, very descriptive and not a lot of plot, but there was lots of talk about like the food and the weather and the scenery. That was basically what the whole book was about. So that was the only way I was able to like continue reading, because I liked being able to picture what it looked like being there and like what they were eating, but they were also just always talking about the wine they were drinking. Anyway, so it's like part romance too, because then she meets a guy while she's there, but she also has a husband. And like then she is like kind of cheating on her husband because she just doesn't love her husband as much as she freaking loved her mother. Like, the way she's coping with her mother's death is like leaving her husband behind and not really giving a shit about him anymore. Then she meets this other guy in Italy, and then I don't even know. I don't know, guys. It was bad. Honestly, I did not like it, so I gave it 2 stars. Okay, and then the other ones I still have to talk about are 2 of my favorite books of the month. So I read The Deal, which is #1 in the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. I read this for the Happily Ever After romance readathon that I host every month. It's a 24-hour readathon, but it can just be like a weekend thing, whatever. So I read this book for that, and I gave it 5 stars. I really loved Garrett and Hannah, and I'm really excited to read the next book in the series for the readathon. It's fun to do it as a group book so we can talk about it together. There will be a set of reading sprints, so you can join that if you would like. This was super cute. Loved it. The writing is really, really good. Some people have said that it sounds or feels like fan fiction or whatever, but like I said, I never got into the Wattpad scene, so like I don't really. This was definitely like felt like fan fiction, even though I've never read fan fiction before, but this one was total like polar opposite from After. Like, this is really good. Love it, love it, love it, and I can understand the hype why everyone else loves it. This was so good. This was really, 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 really good. Like, fantastic. So fun. Great time. Can't wait to read The Mistake. And then finally, the last book that I read, which is like probably my favorite. I don't know, but anyway, let's talk about it. Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. 5 freaking stars. Colleen Hoover's best so far. Absolutely loved it. So good. It's less of a romance. It's still there a little bit, but it's very slow burn. There's a tiny bit of spice sprinkled in, but mostly this is about so much more than the romance. And that's why I think Colleen Hoover is amazing, because she can write these romance novels but make them so hard-hitting and serious and lifelike. Like, they're so good and relatable even when they're not relatable, because of like the grand story, like the overall story. It's about what's her name? Kenna. It's about Kenna, who has been in prison for 5 years from a drunk driving accident. Her boyfriend, Scotty, does die. Kenna is arrested and serves 5 years, but she was pregnant at the time and didn't know it, but ends up like going through her whole pregnancy and giving birth to her and Scotty's daughter in prison. She never gets to see her daughter, never meets her. When she gets out 5 years later, she goes to try and find her daughter, who is now being taken care of by Scotty's parents, but then she meets Ledger. There's this whole thing that goes down with her trying to meet her daughter for the first time, and then she's also physically attracted to Ledger. They're super cute together, but the story is heartbreaking because of the situation. It's an amazing, amazing read. If you have not read it yet, you need to pick it up. It's so, so good. Probably my favorite book from the month. We read that one for my family book club, actually. We ended up like being able to squeeze in 2 books in April. So Reminders of Him is probably my favorite book, and then After I Do was my next favorite book, and then One True Loves, and then The Deal. Those are probably my favorite, top 4. Okay, that's a lot. I've been recording for over half an hour because I had 16 books to talk about. I read a lot in April, so that's amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about the books that I read. Let me know if you've read any of these, all that jazz. I hope you're having a great day. I will see you in my next video.